Next is rule number 6. Rule number 6. It is shifting the takeoff point. Shifting the takeoff point behind the block. Okay, shifting the takeoff point behind the block. What is the takeoff point? So this is R. I have a block here G, and this is my output C. Here I will say this is my takeoff point. This point is called as takeoff point. If this takeoff point was not there, then C is equal to R into G. See, there is a takeoff point. That means at this point I will get an output Y. Here also I can tap the output. This is called as tapping or taking off the output. Here also see, okay, I'll get the output. Here also I can get the output. Now at this point, what is my output? C is equal to R into G. Okay, now see, this point output is R into G. Then my output will come here. Therefore C is equal to R into G. At this point when I tap, what output is coming here? R into G is coming. So Y is equal to R. This is also output. This is also output. Okay, this is the normal procedure what you have to get. Okay, now if I want to shift the takeoff, where this takeoff point is there, I'm going to shift the takeoff point behind the block. I'm going to shift this takeoff point behind the block. So if the takeoff point is behind the block, then how my circuit will look like after shifting. After shifting, see, this is my input R. I have a takeoff point here, and that takeoff point I will call it as Y. Then I have a block of G. I have a block output C. So now what is my output? Here Y is equal to R is my output, because this only R is coming over here. Next, at this point I have R. Now here it will be R into G. So output C is equal to R into G. So after shifting the takeoff point, you check the output, only one output is correct. Y is equal to R, but here I should get Y is equal to R into G. So I should now multiply with some block in order to get this output. Okay, that by seeing only we can find out which block we should add. Okay, now what we have to do is, then I'm going to R. I'm going to have a takeoff point here. To this takeoff point, what I'm going to do is, I know it is Y here. Okay, now I should get here as R into G should be my output. So what I have is, here R is coming over here. It should get multiplied by G. So then the output is R into G. So now this output is now going to get multiplied by a block of G in order to get this output. In order to get this output. Okay. Then rewrite the other thing as it is. Okay. That means when you are going to shift the takeoff point behind the block, after shifting, see the output, it is not same. How to retain the output? This block should be now multiplied by a block of gain G, then you will get this output. So when it is behind the takeoff point, note, when the takeoff point is shifted behind the block, then Y should be multiplied by a block of G in order to get the output as Y is equal to R into G. Okay, this is rule number 6. shifting the takeoff point behind the block, what will happen is that block should be multiplied by a gain of G. Okay. Next, rule number 7. In rule number 7, what we are going to study is shifting the takeoff point beyond the block. Shifting takeoff point, shifting the takeoff point beyond the block. Okay, for that what will be my circuit? See, I have an input of R here, my takeoff point is here, I have a block of G, and this is my output. So let's see what are the outputs I have. Okay, at Y what will be? Y is equal to R is my output. Here this R will be there. When it comes to this point, it will be R into G. So output is R into G. This is my output. So this I should get even after shifting the takeoff point beyond the block. Beyond the block, I am shifting my takeoff point. So what will be my circuit? After shifting beyond the block. Okay, R is the output. I have a block of G. My takeaway point will be here. That is my output. Y and C. Just check for the output. At this point, R into G will be my output. So Y is equal to R into G. C is equal to R into G. This is the output what I get. So one output is correct. Only this part of the output is correct. This is not matching. So what I should do? How to get this output? This should be multiple. See, now I have Y into R plus G, but I want Y is equal to R. To get this, what I should do? I should multiply this by 1 by G, so that G will get cancelled and I will get this. For that, how to write the circuit? I have a block of R, then a G is there. See, this is my takeoff point. To this takeoff point, what I will do? I have to multiply this takeoff point by 1 by G. Then I will get the output. See, now at this point what I have? R into G is there. Okay, when it comes here, it is R into G. When it comes to this point, what will happen? R into G into 1 by G. So G will get cancelled. At output, I will get Y is equal to R. Now, did I get this? So it should be multiplied. What I should write here? When a takeoff point is shifted beyond the block, this block should be multiplied by a gain of 1 by G in order to retain the output. Okay, 4 different rules are there. Seven rules are there. In that, I'm going to now say about shifting the takeoff point. See, this 4 is very important. First, if I am shifting the takeoff point behind the block, means takeoff point behind the block means the block should be now multiplied by a gain of G in order to retain the output. If the shifting the takeoff point beyond the block means it should be multiplied by a gain of 1 by G. So that is important note. Then if the coming to the summing point, if we were shifting the summing point behind the block means the block should be multiplied by a gain of 1 by G. If the summing point is shifted beyond the block means it should be multiplied by a gain of summing point beyond the block. It should be multiplied by a gain of G, block G. So this is reciprocal here. Okay, see, note. Summing point. Takeoff point. Okay, behind, beyond. When the summing point is shifted when the summing point is shifted behind the block, means the block should be multiplied by a gain of block should be 1 multiplied by a gain of 1 by g. When it is beyond, means the block should be multiplied by a gain of g. Takeoff point behind the block means it should be multiplied by a gain of g. If beyond the block means it should be multiplied by a block of gain 1 by g. This is very important, okay, with respect to summing point. It's not visible. Summing point behind means it is 1 by g, beyond it is g. Takeoff point behind is g and beyond is 1 by g. So these are set of rules you should know. Okay, with these rules only we are going to solve the problem.